Let's talk about push-up patterns. So I'm going to show you many different ways that you can do a push-up. And since people are doing so many push-ups at home right now, there's a lot of mistakes that people can make. There's a lot of different muscle groups that you can be working with all of your push-ups at home. I'm going to show you this up against the wall so you get a good visual before we go down to the floor, okay? When we do our push-ups, we can have our standard push-up, which is kind of down here to the side, okay, where I might have my arms down here at about a 45-degree angle with a right angle, a 90-degree angle in my elbow, okay? And this is a 45-degree angle as if I were to imagine this being 0 and this being 90 degrees. This is going to be my 45 degrees, right? So I would be standing right here and I would be doing my push-up coming off of the wall like that. Then the other way that I can do a push-up is a lower push-up where I would bring my elbows in really tight and I would be holding down here below and I would do a push-up there. That's going to be working more of my anterior deltoid and my triceps, not quite as much as my chest. Then if I wanted, I could do a reverse grip like this and I could do a push-up here, and that's actually going to get a little bit more bicep engagement. So it's going to get your anterior deltoid, your bicep, and some of your tricep, but it's going to get your high bicep and your low tricep down here, okay? If I do those reverse grip. All right, so I've got my standard 45-degree angle with my arm, then I've got my arms down here at 0, then I've got the reverse with my hands getting into my biceps. Now if I bring myself up here above the average, here's the really wide stance out here. This is also pretty common for most people, and this is where I've got those elbows high up at 90 degrees. Elbows high up at 90 degrees, and I come down and I do my push-up from right there. That one gets a lot more chest and a lot less triceps. Now if you bring it in and I've got my hands together right here and I bring myself down and up into my push-up with my hands together, then that's going to be mostly triceps and very little chest. So if I keep it narrow, that's going to be my triceps. If I bring it way out wide, that's going to get more of my chest. There's another one that I can do if I bring my hands a little bit higher, right at about where my head is, and I do my push-ups from here, then that actually gets a lot more of my core and my lower chest activation. You'll start to feel really shaky if you do that high arm push-up right up there. Now those are some of our different versions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 different push-ups that you can be doing at home. Now there's a few mistakes I really want to mention before we get down on the ground and I show you some of these push-ups. When people overuse their elbows, they'll start to get some little clicking that occurs in their elbows right here. And this happens anytime you get too much bend in your elbow, and you really have to watch out for this in that narrow grip tricep one. So if I put my hands together real close right here and I do that push-up with my elbows bent like that, that puts a lot of pressure on the elbows, and if you do that with high repetition, eventually that's going to start to wear down the joint, and you usually get some little clicking or some nerve impingement or pain that can sometimes shoot down into your hands, and that can be bothersome too. A good way to check to make sure that you're not getting too much pressure in there is to make sure that you're not getting a lot of tension right through here, and you can feel your common flexor tendon right in there, and if it starts to get real painful, then you're probably overworking through that elbow joint. The other thing to watch out for is hyperextending. Okay, and this happens as you get your arms up higher. The higher the arms get, the less range of motion you have, and the easier it is to hyperextend yourself back. Okay, hyperextending, I specifically am talking about the shoulder. I'm talking about the shoulder going further back than you have the true range of motion to perform. So if you don't have the actual range of motion to bring your shoulder all the way back, then you're going to overstretch the muscles and the ligaments, and you're going to start hurting yourself, especially if you do that over and over and over again. A way to check and make sure that you're not hyperextending is just to do this without any weight. So this would be open chain, right? Just do it without weight. If I take my arms and I bring them back behind me, I've got a lot of range of motion right here in this lower position. If I bring myself out to the 45, a lot of range of motion right here. As I get up to my 90, oh, I just lost some. Got a little bit less range of motion right there. And if I bring myself up here, whoa, I've got way less range of motion. I really can't do that one very deep. So as you get higher up, you lose range of motion, and you're more vulnerable to hyperextend your shoulder going back. So check that range of motion for yourself before you go out and do 100 push-ups every day in a higher position, hyperextending your shoulders and hurting the joint right in there. Do it on the air, do it on the wall, practice the positions. You also should make sure that you're not hyperextending your wrist. Most people can't really bring their wrist that far back. If you don't have good range of motion in your wrist and you feel like you're hurting on the back side of your wrist every time, or you're overstretching on the front side of your wrist every time, then you can either grab a weight like a dumbbell and you can push into those. You can do it under your fist, or you can be using some of those rotation devices that have the handles and they rotate along with it. Those can all be useful. If you really want to challenge yourself, you could grab dumbbells and you could do push-ups on the dumbbell, or kettlebells, I mean to say. You can do push-ups on the kettlebells, and that's a pretty intense thing to do. All right, so starting off, here's my reverse grip push-up. And forward grip push-up. And those are all the push-ups that you can be doing and practicing when you're at home. Thanks for watching.